Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Phoenix and this is the very first video of Phoenix Tech, my all new channel where I'll be doing unboxings, reviews, and lots of other videos devoted to computers and accessories, PC and desk setups, the latest technology, and things I just think is cool and interesting. For my first video, I'm going to start off with the first in a series where I'll be upgrading my office/game room a little bit at a time, eventually building an all new custom PC. Today though, is just going to be a single upgrade, going from a 27-inch 4K monitor to a 32-inch curved 4K from MSI. All right, so this is it. This is where the magic happens. No, not like that. Get your mind out of the gutter. No, I'm talking about this is where I do most of my gaming, my recording, my video editing. I spend a significant amount of time right here in this particular space. And as such, I like to surround myself with things that I enjoy and also things that help my productivity. And that's why I currently have 4 different monitors here in my space. I have 2 27-inch Samsung 4K monitors. I have a 28-inch BenQ 4K monitor, which used to be right here in the middle, but I swapped spaces. And the reason for that is because I've had this thing for a little while, and I think the backlighting or something is going out on it, because occasionally it will get dark spots. I don't know if you guys can see that in the video or not. Probably not. But yeah, it needed to swap spaces here. And then down here, I have as an extra monitor, an ultra wide LG 25-inch, which is just a 1080p, but it does what I need it to do. Obviously, the center monitor is where everything mainly happens. I'll be playing games on it, watching YouTube, etc. It's doing most of the work, and as such, is the most important in the setup, so it needs to be the best that I can get. Over on the left-hand side, I'll keep Discord up, and when I'm streaming, I usually keep a browser window up for quick searches when needed or guides. On the right-hand side, I usually use that for OBS and streaming tools. And I'll keep my chat windows and such down here on the bottom ultra-wide screen. When I'm editing videos, it's a completely different story. I'll keep the main preview window here on the center screen. The timeline editor is going to be on the ultra-wide. And I'll keep clips on the left and tools on the right. Now, I've been rocking this setup for several years now, minus a few changes here and there, but nothing major. That is until today. As I get older, my eyesight's getting worse, which I'm sure has nothing to do with sitting in front of a computer screen all day. But I feel it's time to make some changes to this setup. Specifically, I want to go with bigger monitors. 32 inches, I think, will be just about the right size. Now, I need my 4K because since I've been gaming on it for so long, I don't feel like I could downgrade to 1440p. I also like the idea of having curved displays. Ideally, I want to have 3 of them right next to each other, all side by side. But that's really expensive all at once. So I'm just going to upgrade my main monitor today. And we're going to get rid of this dying BenQ. So here's the biggest problem with what I want to do. There's not that many 4K curved monitors on the market, especially that can do more than 60 Hertz. If I want to upgrade, I think I want to do something like 144 Hertz, 160 Hertz, something like that. There are a few different ones I have my eyes on though. There's the Samsung Neo G7, which might be my perfect monitor, but it's also about $800, $900. There's the Gigabyte M32UC, which checks all the boxes and it's at a decent price. There's also an MSI 4K curve that can do 144 Hertz. It's slightly cheaper than the Gigabyte, but reviews aren't the most favorable for it. There's also an option for a 57-inch Samsung Ultra Wide, which is the equivalent of 2 4K 32-inch monitors combined into one. I just don't know if I would like to have an ultra wide for gaming. And there's also the fact that it's about $2,500, so completely out of my price range, so you can try it out and see. So then, what monitor are we going to be upgrading to today? Well, the answer is none of them. Instead, I found a fantastic deal on this big boy right here, the MSI G321-CUV, a 32-inch curved 60 Hertz panel. It's pretty much exactly the same as the 144 Hertz model, in just about every way. Dimensions, looks, size, curvature, except it's 60 Hertz only. On sale during Black Friday for $250, I think this was actually a pretty good bargain. Sure, it's not 144 Hertz, but it actually was one of my choices to replace the 2 side panels with, since those don't need to be anything except 60 Hertz. At that price, this gives me an opportunity to replace my main screen right now with something bigger. And I can see how I like a curved monitor. If it works out, I can easily just grab a better monitor later on and swap one of the side monitors out with this guy right here, letting me make upgrades over time instead of all at once. And by that time, maybe the Samsung Neo G7 will be just a little bit cheaper. But first things first, we got to get this thing out of the box. All right, so I've already had this thing for about a week and a half now already before I'm finally getting a chance to make this video and unbox it. I'm hoping it's not damaged in any way because I did get it from Amazon, and unfortunately they shipped this thing by postal service. It boggles my mind why Amazon would use the postal service to deliver something like this when I literally get deliveries almost every day from the actual Amazon trucks themselves. So first thing I'm noticing is, I mean, this thing is, for being as big as it is and being a curved monitor, it's actually pretty lightweight. So that's kind of a good thing. I'm not sure how my mounts, like my monitor stands and mounts and stuff that I have on my desk, are going to handle this thing. I'm hoping that won't be a problem. I did check and see how much weight they could handle, and it seemed okay. I checked the weight of this guy against their maximum weight they can hold. Yeah, it seems all right. All right, trying to get this box off though. All right, here we go. Oh, I think that was just a stand. So since I won't be using a stand, that's not a big deal. All right, so let's see what we got here. We got, looks like is this an HDMI? Yes, all right, so it comes with an HDMI cable. I don't know if this is a 2.1 cable or what. I don't guess it matters, it's only a 60 hertz panel. It does have to be 4K though, so we do need a cable that will handle 4K. Let's see here, we've got part of the stand. It does have a power supply external right there, so that's good, like that. I will have to mount this in some way though underneath the table, but I like the fact that it doesn't have the power supply in it. That's just, I don't know, I just like that. What is this? This looks like, is this a DisplayPort cable? No, this is the power supply cable. All right, so we got the power supply cable with it. We've got some MSI stuff here. What's in this package? What are these guys? Oh, these are screws for the mount. Screws for, oh, this is screws for wall mounting your monitor. Okay, all right. What are these? These are just some screws. This is probably for the normal mount itself. We've got a quick start guide. Okay, all right. I'm guessing this is also part of the mount right here. Yes, indeedly do. Again, I'm going to be mounting this to one of my monitor stands already, so I will not be needing that. And let's go ahead and get the actual monitor out here. Okay. All right, let's take a look here. All right, looks like it's in a bag. All right, so I'm looking it over here, and I'm not seeing any cracks that are visible or anything like that. So that is a definite good sign. I think we're going to be in good shape here. Yeah, this looks really, really, really nice. I really like this. So it has a 1500R curve on it. Like I said, it's a 60 hertz panel, 4K, and it's also HDR ready, but I'm not sure. A lot of monitors claim to be HDR ready, but they don't particularly reach that like nit level, I believe it is. So I didn't really look at the stats on this. I just knew that for this price, I needed a 4K curved monitor. I think this is gonna check all the boxes for my necessary needs right now. Yeah, so you know what I should do though? I think before we start to actually start mounting this, like we gotta take our monitor down that's already mounted over there. I've gotta unmount that. Then we got to get this one onto that mount. I think the best thing to do right here would probably be to test it and make sure it's going to work and everything before we actually go through all the work of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug it in really quick and let's take a look here. All right, so we got power. I'm not seeing any crack. Well, okay, the screen just went off. I'm sure just because it's probably not plugged up or anything. But I was able to see the logo and everything pop up. Yeah. It's hard to say if there's any dead pixels just yet until we actually get it hooked up to the computer. But at first glance, okay, here we go. Here we go. No signal from HDMI. Everything looks pretty good on it. Yeah. All right. So first things first, I am no expert when it comes to doing these reviews at all. All I know is I think I know a lot about, you know, computers and stuff like that. I don't know everything. I don't have the testing equipment, so it's not like I can go and test and say, oh yeah, this is the perfect monitor, you know, ghosting and all of this other stuff. I'm just going to do the best that I can and let you know if, you know, what my personal opinion is of this monitor. So next thing is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to unplug this. I'm going to be taking off my Samsung monitor that I have over there right now, and we're going to get this mounted over there. And then I'll probably have to do some adjusting to my side screens as well to make room for this guy right here. So let's get going with that.
All right, so I've got the MSI 32-inch now installed here. We've gotten rid of the BenQ and instead put the Samsung 27-inch that was here in its place. One thing I wasn't able to do, well, a couple things I wasn't able to do. I wasn't able to put my light that I had on top of these, my Adobe flow bars here, on top of this monitor because this specific model, so these are both Samsung 27 inches, but they're different models. One's a newer model, like 1 year newer than the other one, but they look identical and everything. But this one, the way that the mounting plate on the mounting arm goes into it, it's the monitor itself has a kind of a square cutout area where the vertical mount can sit inside of that. This one is just flat on the back of it. And because of that being a kind of a cutout area here, the screw that I was using this to mount, it's not long enough. So that's not going to work. I'm going to have to go to like Lowe's or somewhere and grab a screw that I can use for that in order to remount that back on top of that one. The BenQ that I had in that spot also, it was flat like that one is too. So yeah, I'll have to fix that later. Not a big problem, just something I have to deal with later. The other thing is that I was trying to, I had the idea I wanted to go with what's called a TIE Fighter layout, where I wanted the two on the side to rotate and then be this way. And I think that would give me a little bit more space. So as I was attempting that, I figured out that that's just not going to be able to happen. The way I have the mounting arms onto the table right now at the moment, I'm not going to be able to get them mounted the right way. I don't think they look right now. And because of that, I can't move them over any at the moment. Now this is something I'm going to be doing later on, just not right now. Yeah, so I've got the monitor kind of sits, the big monitor kind of sits in front of these and it's cutting some of the smaller monitors off. I think I can live with that for about a week or so until I can get some time to get behind here and move the actual arms and do all the work that needs to be done to fix that. But I still like the idea of turning these monitors sideways. It's just, I don't think I'm going to be able to right now. Much further down the road, when I get a new desk, which is going to be another video we'll do later on, I'll probably be mounting these to the wall, and that will give me a lot more options on how I want to actually fix these. But for now, we've got it all installed. It is working. It definitely does seem brighter, and I think I'm going to kind of like the curvature of this. I don't even really mind these monitors kind of sitting behind a little bit. I think they're just too far behind it right now. If I could bring them out a little bit more, I think I'd be happier that way. But that's as far as they're going to come out. All right, so at this point, what I'm probably going to do is I'm just going to use the monitor as I normally would for about a week or so. We're going to game on it. We're going to edit videos on it. Just use my computer as normal. And then kind of get an idea, get a feel for it, see what I think of it, and then I'll give my final thoughts.
All right, I've been using the MSI G321CUV for almost about a month now, and these are pretty much my final thoughts on it. So first of all, let's talk about the size. The 32-inch is perfect for me personally. I've been using the 28-inch monitors. I went from 24s to 28s, and then from now 28s to 32s. I think I'm going to keep going this route. I really like having the 32-inch. I'm going to probably replace all of them with that eventually, because for me, as I said earlier in the video, I'm getting older, my eyesight's getting a little worse, so being able to see things better and having that larger screen for that is just a benefit for me personally. Now, curved aspect of this, I absolutely love it. I wasn't sure how I would feel about it because I've never had a curved monitor before, and some people like them, some people don't. I personally love it, absolutely love it. From now on, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to get to replace the other two as well. And we're just going to get an entire 32-inch, like curved here, 32-inch curved on this side. It just works for me personally, and I really like that aspect of that. Also, the curve that is on this MSI screen here isn't really all that bad. I've seen, while looking at different monitors and stuff, about 3 different radiuses. So the lower the number, the more curved the screen is. So this one comes in at about a 1500R, which isn't really bad at all. Compared to, say, the Samsung Neo G7, which is 1000R, that's a pretty good curve on that one. I don't know how I would like the 1000R, but I feel like the 1500R, like on this one and many of the other monitors that I've looked at in this kind of range, I think that's about just right for about 32-inch monitor. So now that I've talked about my experience with the size of the monitor and the curvature of the monitor, let me actually talk about the monitor itself. So the panel itself is a VA panel, and it has an anti-glare matte coating on the surface of it. That's going to help protect, say, you're in a room that has a lot of windows, a lot of light. It's going to keep that reflection and the glares and stuff off your screen while you're gaming or you're working. It is a 60 Hertz panel. It is FreeSync. Now, this is where the information kind of differs. On Amazon itself, it says that this panel is a 1 millisecond, but on MSI's website, the actual stats for this monitor is 4 milliseconds, which I would tend to believe the MSI website more than Amazon stats on that. It doesn't really feel like a 1 millisecond monitor, so yeah, it does seem like there's just a slight lag when I'm gaming and stuff. Now, the quality and build of this monitor, I think, is actually quite good. It doesn't seem like it's cheaply made. The plastic does seem quite sturdy on the housing. And if you are one of those people who keep your monitor kind of in the center of the room or not really in a corner like I do, then you will also appreciate that it has a really, really nice, like sleek design on the back of it, kind of this angled, kind of triangular design. It looks quite nice. Unfortunately, if you are someone like me who does have your desk in a corner or against a wall, you're not going to see that once you actually get it mounted. What you are going to see, however, is it does have a very, very thin bezel along the edges here. So if you're doing a multi-monitor layout, you're not going to have that bezel that's going to be like right in the way. It's not the thinnest bezel in the world. I have seen much, much thinner, but I mean, this will get you by, I think. It does have the MSI logo down here on the bottom and a couple lights right here, which when they're on, it's not distracting. Like I've seen some monitors that will have a light on the front. It's just a very, very distracting light that's just too bright and doesn't need to be there. This one is definitely low profile. It's a very slim profile on the monitor as well. The panel itself does, at least here on the top edges, does seem to be quite thin. Your controls are going to be on the back of the panel. It's like a little joystick OSD controller where you can get to the menus and things like that. And I'm not sure whether I actually prefer that or having the controls on the bottom. I think what I would really prefer is just having a remote control that I can work with that, or some kind of app where I can, like a Windows app that I can get into and set all the settings that way. I believe Samsung or LG does feature, some of their monitors features things like that. Maybe even some of the Asus ones. This one doesn't have that though. It's literally just a little joystick on the back of it, and you have to like toggle that to get into the menu. For me, with the monitors the way I have them right now, it does seem to be just a little bit in the way. So It's more of a, I'm going to set my settings up and then set it and forget it kind of thing. So now let's talk about the performance of this monitor while gaming, the colors, the contrast, the brightness, how black are the blacks, all of that. But before I do, let me just preface this by saying I am by no means any kind of monitor expert at all. All of this is just my opinions, being a gamer and a content creator, and just my general use of this monitor as compared to other monitors I've used in the past, specifically the ones I was most recently using before this one. So with that out of the way, when I first loaded up my first game to play around on this monitor, I was blown away by how good it looked. The image just seemed to be sharper and more clear. The colors just really seemed to pop. Definitely more noticeable than the Samsung monitors that I was using, or even the BenQ that I had before that. The grass was greener, the skies were bluer, the blood was redder. It looked amazing. So that's definitely going to be another point towards this monitor of things that I liked about it. Now, it's definitely, as far as monitors with those features go, it is not the best out there. That's going to be reserved for things like your OLEDs, your mini LEDs, your QLED monitors. With those, the colors I think are just going to really be much brighter. You're going to get that HDR quality. You're going to get the blacker blacks, which this one doesn't have. But when you compare the price of those monitors with this monitor, I think this one does a pretty good job in that department, especially considering there's not a whole lot of 32-inch 4K curved monitors out there to choose from, especially not for $250, which is what I got this monitor for. With that though, there is some negatives to this. So there is definitely a noticeable ghosting and smearing that happens with bright objects on a darker screen. And one thing that really just bugged the most out of me, to the point where I don't think that I'll be able to actually use this monitor personally, is going to be backlight bleed. Now, in a brighter room like right now where I'm filming in here, and I've got the lights kind of all on in here, you're not going to notice what I'm about to mention. However, I personally usually will have the lights off in my room, and I'll be gaming or recording or doing whatever. And yeah, and I also like to have a darker wallpaper as well. And when you have those lights turned down and you have a darker background, you are going to notice about a 1-inch bleed of the backlighting that's going to come out on every side of the panel, all 4 sides. It's about 1 inch from the corner. And I'm not talking about just in the corners. I mean, literally, it's a strip across and up and down all 4 of these. When you're in the middle of a game and the scene itself isn't, all that dark and it's a little bit brighter, then you're not going to notice it so much. A lot of the times while I'm gaming, I actually kind of forget it's there. However, when you are in those darker scenes, or you're sitting in a menu, or if you are like you use a darker wallpaper like myself, and you're just sitting on the desktop and doing stuff and tasks and things like that, it's definitely there, and it is distracting. And I don't think that it's actually that I got a defective panel per se, because from reading some of the other reviews on Amazon, it seems like this has actually happened very commonplace with most people who have bought this monitor. All right, so final thoughts. Is the MSI G321-CUV worth it? Well, it's kind of hard to say, honestly, because it's going to differ on what it is that you're looking for and how much you can afford. I think for most purposes, I think this is actually a really, really decent monitor for $250. You are going to get a 32-inch 4K curved monitor. So bonus points right there. I do think the colors are pretty good on this monitor. I also think there are better monitors out there. Now, Samsung does make another 32-inch 4K curved monitor, the UR59. It is about $320 last time I checked, so it's about in the same price range as the MSI here. The problem with that specific monitor, that is, if you want to mount it on a mounting arm or to your wall or something like that, you're going to have a bit of trouble because it doesn't actually have a VESA mount on the back of it. There is a workaround to that. Somebody has made a mount that you can mount to an arm, but I believe that piece itself is an extra $50 on top of that. So at that point, it just kind of depends on whether you want to pay the extra to get a Samsung and then also find and purchase that Visa mount for it. Of course, if you're just planning on using the stand that the monitor comes with instead of mounting it to anything, that's not going to be a problem. Now, at some point in the future, I may actually purchase that monitor and review it for you guys, because I may try it out to use it as one of my secondary monitors. The reviews on that one are kind of a mixed bag though currently on Amazon, so I don't know yet. So I feel like that if you can get past the backlight bleed around the edge of the panel, which, like I said before, in most of the time when you're playing a game, it's not all that noticeable. It's only noticeable in like darker scenes, and if you have the lights down really low, and you use a darker background or darker wallpaper like I do, then it's noticeable at that point. But if you can get past that, and the fact that this is not a 1 millisecond monitor, but a 4 millisecond response time, if that works for you, then anywhere from $200 to $300 for this monitor isn't that bad. Because like I said, there's not a whole lot of other options out there that are 4K curved 32-inch, and if that's specifically what you're wanting, then these are pretty much your options. There's only a few. There right now, after CES, there are a ton of great other monitors coming out though. The technology for mini LED and OLED and QLED monitors and stuff that are coming. It's going to be a great year for monitors, but most of those are either going to be widescreen, ultra widescreen, or they're flat panel. So I didn't really see any good like curved monitors that aren't ultra wides.
All right, so what all this amounts to is this. For me personally, the MSI G321-CUV is not the monitor for me. After using it for almost a month, I don't think I can get past the backlight bleed for me personally. It's just an annoyance, and for me to pop down cash on a monitor, I don't necessarily want the best of the best, because if I had the $2,000, I would just buy the dual 4K screen that Samsung makes, the Neo G9. But I don't have $2,000. I also don't have the $800 to $900 for the Neo G7 to try that out. But the monitor that is on my wish list is the Gigabyte M32UC. It's 32 inches. It's 4K. It's curved. It's already hit everything I'm looking for. It's 1 millisecond response time, and it's 160 hertz overclock. So I've already put in my purchase for that. It's on the way. I can't wait to get it in. And of course, I'll be doing a review on that. That will most likely be the next video here on this channel specifically. And I will be returning the MSI monitor. I considered keeping it and using it as one of my secondary monitors, but again, even as a secondary monitor, I'm with these black backgrounds and wallpapers and stuff that I use, I like the dark colors on those. I don't think it's going to be something that I'm going to be able to get past. In the long run, if I have to, I will use 3 of the Gigabytes. After reading most of the reviews and stuff and watching videos and stuff on that Gigabyte monitor, I'm pretty sure that that is going to be a monitor that I'm going to love. So at the end of the video here, in conclusion, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and your feedback about the video. Were there things that you liked that I went over? Were there things that I missed, points I didn't hit on, things you think I could do better in future videos? Maybe some of you guys out there have already bought and used this monitor, in which case do our opinions line up, or do we differ in some way? I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. I would love to hear all your comments. I look forward to reading them. And let's just make sure we try to keep it to constructive feedback. Let's not be mean, honestly, guys. I mean, we're better than that as a society, and there's just no really point in just being trolls and being rude to each other. All I'm trying to do is just provide my opinions on things as a gamer and a content creator. The things that I use, I want to show you guys. And if there's ways that I can do that better and improve upon these videos, then yes, I definitely want to do that. All right, so wherever you guys are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And I'll see you in the next video.